If you're not getting stronger, you're probably doing something wrong. In this video, I'm going to go over the things that people tell us before they work with us, like in their consultations and stuff, and what I suggest back to them, how I give them advice, and what we change when they do start working with us. Adam and I have been in the industry for quite some time. We've heard it all. We see regular patterns, and some people are very self-aware about where they're going wrong, and they will tell that to me. They will say, I know this isn't the best way about it, and things like that. Other people have no idea. They don't know that they're doing something wrong. And it's not necessarily wrong in terms of like detrimental to your health. It's just that there are so many areas of fitness, and if you want to look at strength training specifically to get stronger, there are certain elements that you should stick to, because otherwise you're not really getting stronger. And to help you with that, we have a free guide about how to structure strength training workouts. So if you head over to one of our social media pages and comment workout, I will send it to you. So number one, doing random workouts instead of doing workouts that actually have structure, or even flip-flopping between different training styles because you keep changing your goals all the time. This is where someone will either like pull random workouts from social media, or just get them online, be like, this is a workout, like I'll do that. Today I'll do this workout. And there's no judgment here. I used to do this before I knew how to structure training sessions properly, how to create an ongoing strength training program, which is a lot of individual workouts that all make sense together. You know, we've all been there, but a lot of people depend on this style of training, or they just do a bunch of different exercises in the gym, whatever they fancy. This might look like hopping from machine to machine. It might be just deciding on the spot, like, oh, I'm going to do this, or you're following a workout that they found online. Maybe it's from a fitness influencer. Maybe it's just from ChatGPT. There is a difference between exercising and training. And sometimes I will say, in our marketing, like, stop exercising and start training, because you can be fit and healthy and exercise regularly and still not be particularly strong. And you can be going to the gym regularly and you're still not actually making progress towards those strength-based goals. And it is normally down to a lack of structure with your programming. 2, no clear progression. So you're just hammering the same stuff every time. This can go in one of two ways. This can be where someone persistently is lifting too light for a few reasons, like worrying about injuring themselves, worrying about getting bulky, and just being unaware of just how much that they can actually do is another reason there. Or someone is constantly hitting those higher weights, constantly maxing out, and feels like they have to be lifting those heavier weights all the time to see progress. This is specifically about strength training before anyone comes at me, because this normally happens where someone's like, actually, for hypertrophy, you do want to work to failure. I'm not fucking talking about that. I'm quite clearly saying strength training. So I'm saying, you know, if I've done it myself, where I've tried to, I'm like, I really want a heavier squat, I'm just going to keep squatting heavy. It doesn't work like that. You should be following a program that gradually progresses you to where you want to be. In a normal program structure where we're looking at periodization, should you dip down a little bit and go back up, you dip down a little bit and go back up. That's how it works in the long run. So like I said with the 2 examples, if you've got someone always training at a lower intensity with weight selection, you're not going to get stronger because you're using the same weight every single week. You just get more efficient at using the same weight every single week. If you're constantly going heavy and it's so heavy you're not able to work on your form and technique or think about what you're doing, or even just do more reps to build up more resilience, you're still not going to get where you want to be, because there still isn't that clear progression there. And this is for people who are doing more general strength training as well, because some people think whenever we're talking about strength development and things like that, that we're specifically talking about powerlifting. I'm not. What you'll find with people who are less experienced and less familiar with like really pushing heavier weights is that they'll stay way too light and just keep staying way too light, and then we're not getting anywhere because you're not actually challenging yourself to get stronger. Your body is not going to have that adaptation. And with people who are a little bit more experienced, they're typically going to push the weights a little bit more. Even when you're trying to start a new training block, I've seen this happen where someone's starting a new training block and they're trying to start pretty heavy. And where do you think you're going to be at the end of that training block if you're starting really heavy now? pace yourself. Push yourself or pace yourself. I know, that's hard. That's easier said than done. Number 3, wrong focus. And this kind of ties in with what I was saying earlier, but a lot of people will come to me saying, oh, this is what I've been doing. And I'm like, what are your goals? And their goals might be gaining muscle, getting stronger. And it's like, doing this will not really help you get there. This is fine for general fitness. Stop freaking out. Like, so many times I'll say, like, you know, it's, if you want to achieve this, do this. And people are like, but what about this? And it's like, I'm not saying that it's not going to get you fitter. That's fine. But if you're looking at more specific style of training, you do need to have specific workouts and specific training programs. It doesn't just magically happen from building the habit. I think I already said, like, you can be really fit and still be weak. And I mean relatively weak. I'm not just calling people weak for the hell of it. But I've worked in commercial gyms. I've worked with a lot of different people. Obviously right now we're more specialised because we've got our own strength training gym. But, you know, there've been lots of what we'd call Gen Pop in the fitness industry, general population people who are really fit, do lots of running, but they really have to work hard at their strength training because they struggle with it, because they're not experienced with that. But it doesn't mean you're not fit. Going off on a tangent a little bit here, but it also ties into like how a lot of people think that when I'm talking about being at your strongest and strength training in general, that they're like,
but you're not really lean and really muscular.
It's because I'm not talking about being really lean and really muscular. I'm talking about being really strong. Point 4, improper weight selection. This is something I've kind of already mentioned by accident. Well, maybe my points were just a bit too similar. Improper weight selection is going to be an issue. One of the biggest questions we get is, what weight shall I use? But then at the same time, sometimes I've said, okay, no, that's too light or that's too heavy, and people are like, no. Improper weight selection will affect your progress. If you're, again, when I was talking about like the specificity of training, say someone was training for a powerlifting comp, they're going to be using a very high percentage of their max, and they are going to be like, lifting quite heavy in the run up to their competition. They're going to be lifting at a much higher percentage of the max at that time, because we're looking at a percentage. If that's less than 100, you might find like percentage-based training a little bit hard. So we typically will guide people with choosing weight selection based on a scale. So we'll use, for more of your main strength-based lifts, more compound lifts, we will use an RPE scale, rate of perceived exertion, a scale of 1 to 10. You're typically going to be working in the 6 to 9 RPE range, where 10 is like maxing out. 5 is like very easy warm-up sort of weight. Or if something is higher rep, it gets much more difficult to look at RP specifically for that. So that's where we look at our IR, which is reps in reserve. So you'd train to 2 to 3 reps in reserve, 0 to 1 reps in reserve, and so forth. That is how we guide people on weight selection, as well as percentages, because we're people, we're human, we're not machines, so we can't always rely on percentages for everyone. For some people, we need a combination. For some people, we're better off at just kind of looking at, okay, aim for around this, but hit this RPE. Because you don't want to be maxing out every session, but you also don't want to be holding yourself back. If you hadn't have guessed, I do like differentiating the difference between general resistance training and, well, technically, right, strength training is a type of weight training. Some people, as soon as they train with some weights, they're like, I'm doing strength training. Could be any weight at all. They're like, this is my strength training routine. I do the same thing every week with my 2 kilo weights. Now, I wouldn't really call that strength training. I would call it weight training, yes. And if we think of resistance training as an umbrella term, resistance training has different categories under it. So you've got more general weight training, where you're using free weights. You got like resistance machines, like you can use body weight as resistance depending on the exercise. But then if we're looking at strength training specifically, I do like to differentiate with people to make it a little bit clearer about the goal, about the outcome. And while all types of resistance training has the potential for muscular hypertrophy, you're more likely to achieve that through a moderate to heavy weight selection with a moderate to higher rep range. But if you're doing, going back to what I was saying about like RPA and RIR, if you're doing something where you could do like 5 or 10 more reps, that's not going to give you enough stimulus to get you stronger or to give you more muscle mass in the long run. But at the same time, if you always train into failure, that can lead to things like burnout, can lead to things like injury. There are studies that show you can have reps in reserve and still get more muscle mass. It really is about the quality of your training, how you're putting together your workouts, how you're putting together your overall programs. Yeah, I hope that all makes sense. And yeah, if you want the free guide about how to structure your strength training workouts properly, how to go about things the right way so you're not wasting any more time, your time's valuable. You want to, I'm sure anyone watching this just doesn't have like all the time in the world to be in the gym or do their workouts in their home gym. You just need to find us on social media, on Facebook or Instagram, follow us, and you need to DM us. If you're watching this video on there, obviously you can just comment and I will send it over. If you're watching it on YouTube, send it via DM and I will send it over to you.